that many families.
I'd like to think corrupt, or if you weren't corrupt. You know, if you were a light shining in the dark, or if you were darkness itself, you would know, unless you're delusional.
Members, my brothers and everybody else is still police officers, and I don't think they're corrupt. But what happens?
I don't think they're corrupt. You would say, I know they're not corrupt, but these people are a cut above the rest. They are of sound moral character, and they would never, ever do anything to tarnish their credibility or their reputation.
Within the system is oftentimes the good officers can't come forward because if you say anything, then you're ostracized. You call it a blackball, blacklisted.
So if you don't say anything, then you're a part of the system. You're as corrupt as they are. You are complicit in their crimes. Now I want to show you this new video right here. And like I said, the reason I want to do this update is because of all the positive comments. There are negative comments against what this guy's saying, but look at his like-dislike ratio. 331 likes to 2 dislikes. I don't know if you can see that. Look at that. And even in the last video, 536 likes to 4 dislikes. You gotta be kidding me. Especially when there are a lot of bad comments. It's like, where are all the negative thumbs downs going? 3 types of police: bad cops, coward cops, and uniforms. Totally agree. In other words, they don't exist. So here's what he's saying today.
The office. I want to talk about it. I recently did a video, and in the title it says, "Are all cops corrupt?" And absolutely, I don't think all cops are corrupt, but I think it's a culture and it's a system that individuals get involved with. So they're not necessarily corrupt, but they often allow the corruption to occur and happen.
So if they let the corruption occur and happen, how can you not call them corrupt? It's like, hey, I know this guy, he became a part of the Gambino crime family, and I don't think he was corrupt, but anytime he saw Guido breaking the kneecaps of, say, Susie down in Apartment 101 for not paying the Gambino crime family extortion fee, or the last time they went to the fish market or the corner convenience store and threatened to kill somebody or burn their establishment down, crime family, and not be a part of the criminal activity that the Gambino crime family is known for. Similarly, you can't be a part of law enforcement. We know what the Mullen Commission says. I don't have to bring it up right here. Just type in Mullen Commission conclusion. They concluded that the entire New York City Police Department was mired in massive police criminality, brutality, and corruption.
See it, bro.
The entire police
want to get oil change,
top to bottom, there was
and hopefully tires rotated.
And this is the Mullen Commission off the backs of the Knapp Commission from the 1970s, who also found the New York City Police Department, the NYPD.
Busy day as usual.
The day is long. So you can't say when a cop is part of a crime ring, a known criminal organization, you can't say, I don't know if he was corrupt or not. You can absolutely say, I know for a fact.
Love your
because he was part of a corrupt
your new avatar.
And when he saw corruption and criminality and brutality, and evil and violence initiated against,
I rely on it too much.
He kept his mouth shut.
We're up to 115,607 miles on a 3-year-old car.
He will not say it. And he will not say how corrupt and evil he was for being a part of that system and keeping his mouth shut. And don't even tell me that he never falsified a report. Don't even tell me that he didn't make up a story against people. Don't even tell me that there aren't people sitting in jail to this day after a 24-year career with the LAXPD.
But I'm going to tell you, I was one of the ones that I can truly say fought constantly against the corruption.
B freaking S. BS, dude, you are delusional. You are lying to yourself.
I didn't know always about the Constitution. I didn't even understand it, I can admit.
If you didn't know anything about the Constitution, if you didn't know anything about...
And you're a cop for 24 years.
The Second Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the 10th Amendment, the Ninth Amendment. If you didn't know any of that...
I hope you're feeling better, bud.
Ignorant of that, how can you call yourself a good cop? What were you out there doing if you weren't safeguarding people's rights?
Oil change belt tire.
Did you protect the public from your Thin Blue Line gang members as they were engaged in corruption against them? Let's say you didn't. directly commit the corruption and the evil and the violence against the people you're supposed to be protecting and serving. But you saw your buddies doing it, and you didn't hold them back. You didn't break out the cuffs, throw them against the car, cuff their hands behind their back.
Oh my God, look at this fucking
them in
line.
the back of your cop car. Not even once. You didn't even do that once.
I started in 2000, and when I first became awoke to the Constitution was in 2008, and I went to a special seminar.
So for 8 years, you didn't know what the frick the Constitution said? You didn't know that people have the right to keep and bear arms, and that right shall not be infringed? How many weapons charges did you help lay against innocent people? In the land that shall not be infringed. How many doors did you kick in violation of the people have the right to be secure in their homes?
Opened my eyes. And then from that point in time, once I figured it out and learned it and did my research, I utilized my position within the department to reach the officers that I could. So what happened was from 2004 to 2016, I was on the union on the board of directors. So I used to represent officers when they had internal affairs.
Wait a minute. From 2000 and what? So you became aware of the Constitution and you went to this constitutional class in 2008. But from 2004 to 2016, you were on the board of directors in a police union? I call BS, man. If it's true that from 2004 to 2016 he was in the police union, and for 8 years after 2008 he was aware of what the Constitution said, and he was trying to awaken the minds of his fellow officers, but he was still on the board of directors of a police union. Like,
defending.
Police departments are corrupt. And you can hardly get more corrupt, but if you were going to get more corrupt, then you would up the ante to go to police union.
Yeah, I was watching that earlier.
As bad as you can possibly get. In the
Robert Govale was talking about it too.
Even worse than the Gambino crime family. You know why? Because
Was,
in the Gambino crime family, there was no illusion that the Gambino
A fire
crime
captain or
family
something like
was
that as far as
legitimate in their authority. With law enforcement, it's 100 times
Rescue
worse
or something.
because all the people out there believe that law enforcement officers, pigs with costumes, actually have the authority to do what they did. No one's under that delusion with the Gambino crime family or the hitmen.
Oh, they're going to be, anyone who gets behind me is going to get pissed, especially if I have them do a rotation too.
2016, I was on the union on the board of directors. So I used to represent officers when they had internal affairs or they had issues within the department.
You used to represent officers as a union board member, which means you were laying cover for their corruption and criminality.
As a representative for them. So within that time frame, I moved up to the treasurer of the union. So from 2011 to 2012, I was the treasurer. And then at that point in time...
So he was advancing within the ranks of the police union, but he wasn't corrupt?
The union, we put out a magazine to the officers, and in there, I wrote an article to the officers talking about their oath of office and the importance of it. Here's the article.
He's going to read some of this here.
In the article, it's entitled Oath of Office. Okay.
Yeah, and he had left his son up there, and I guess the firemen, you know, to make room for the people he was rescuing, and the fire chief said, "Don't you go back up there? I'm going to have you arrested." He's like, "Well, I'm going to get my son because I left him up on the mountain, but this lady's husband's up there too." So he should have made him arrest him.
The 5 tenets of the First Amendment are RAPPS, religion, assembly, petition, press, speech. So
Because he flew back up there and got his son, but left that lady's husband up there.
Do no harm, but
Of course, they let him start flying again the next day after it hit the news. But
not to do harm while I'm doing harm under the laws of the state, which criminalizes almost everybody, and I'm going to enforce. I'm going to be the enforcement arm of that criminalization.
This means each officer has a fiduciary responsibility to the public and the LAXPD to understand and protect the Constitution. Recently, I took a survey and asked the questions to multiple LAXPD officers and sheriffs. And to my surprise, not one had ever read the Constitution. I then posed another question to those individuals. How can one defend and protect something they have never read? The majority of responses I received were that the Constitution is outdated and does not apply to the laws today.
So not only did they not read the Constitution, not only were they ignorant of the Constitution, they don't even think the Constitution applies today. But this guy made an argument at the beginning of this video. I think most cops are okay. I don't think most cops are corrupt, but they are part of a corrupt system.
In the middle of the article, you can see it says, I encourage each officer to obtain a copy of the Constitution and Bill of Rights and read them over and over until you fully understand the information.
Once they do
now, this was written in 2011. I wrote this article. Now,
is there now? Do you have specific bays? Because if I need a tire rotation too, is that why?
All right. Right now, this is my second termination.
So they're just swapping?
Yeah, they're just swapping.
Okay.
Because we know in 2012 another termination happened because somebody said that he was brandishing his weapon off duty, and he got called on it. He got terminated apparently wrongly. The police union or his lawyer went to bat for him. He got his job back. So I wonder what this first termination, I wonder what the details of that was.
In 2024 in my career. In 2012, I was also terminated for a whole different incident, and I had to represent myself, and I got reinstated with absolutely no discipline because it was a bogus case the department had brought against me. But it just showed they framed me. It shows the veracity that they have to go through, or what they'll go to get rid of you when you start talking about the Constitution and,
no problem,
waking
man.
the other officers up. So
and that shows you how corrupt this whole department is. This guy is on the board of directors of a police union where he goes to bat for officers who get in trouble and violate other people's rights. And yet the police department is so corrupt that they'll take a corrupt member of their own, lifts the veil slightly, or at least attempts to
Beautiful
lift the
day
veil
today, though.
Slightly.
It was cool this morning. It was like 46 when I got up.
Terminate him if what he's saying is true.
I did my part. I did everything that I could, but you always knew that if I fought for what's right, I would lose my job.
He wants his audience to know I fought for what was right. I was a good guy within the department. I was exposing the corruption, and because I was doing that, I got ostracized and I got terminated. I don't believe one word this guy says. I think this guy is trying to tap into a market that is looking for cops who used to be corrupt officials, and now they're exposing the corrupt officials and
I could deal with here's the deal. Thanks, man. It's area. The wife got it for me. Is there an NFL game tonight? Yes, there is. In fact, thank you for reminding me. I got to make sure my team is ready.
Let the copium begin. It's actually crazy how wrong a group of people can be and how consistently wrong they can be. You know, the same people who are constantly lecturing us about good information only trust us with the news. We're the only ones who can get the facts right. Well, those folks seem to always be living in an alternate reality. And of course, today's alternate reality, Tim Walz won the debate. I can't even say it without laughing because it's so incredibly stupid. But yep, that's exactly what we're getting. Tune in to MSNBC and this is what you're subjected to.
J.D. Vance was very polished and very slick, and Tim Walz beat him on all the substantive points. At least that was my take on it.
Ooh, J.D. Vance was good. I'll admit he was real good. Ooh, he's real slick and good at this debate thing. But Tim Walz definitely won, right guys? Right guys? What was that? No, little Rachel Maddow. Tim Walz didn't win. And your argument for why he did win is totally idiotic. He won because he said things that I agree with. Yes, we already know that you're a far-left loon, just looking to hear all the progressive talking points on repeat. But unfortunately for you, Rachel Maddow, regardless of how many times you
none of my players
try
are playing.
to speak it into existence, it does not change the reality. And the reality is quite clear, folks. I'd say at this point, it's pretty much locked in. J.D. Vance won the debate. He simply won. Now, do I think that a vice presidential debate is going to move the needle big time? No, probably not. But in my view, Trump and Vance are already in the driver's seat, and so a good, strong performance is good enough, especially as your opponent is essentially tanking Kamala Harris into the ground. Let's have a conversation about this debate. I'm more interested in who actually won and what the people think, rather than Rachel Maddow's propaganda opinion. Let's have a conversation about that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so in these moments, what do? We always do the same thing. Let's go straight to the Frank Luntz focus groups. Of course, we know what Frank Luntz does. He gets together in a Zoom meeting with a bunch of undecided voters, only from swing states, and then releases the results following the debate. And here's the conclusion.
He's very battle tested, very ready, and you can just see that he went to Yale
and he's very intelligent, and he reassured a lot of people, I think.
Somebody else.
It was in strong control of the facts. He ran the show.
He remained steady during the whole performance, and I was very impressed with him being very sincere and authentic. He humanized himself and actually looked like a regular guy.
Joining us now, pollster and communications.
Tampa Bay and Atlanta.
Those were people that you had polled or were talking to. And I found the last comment really interesting because he humanized himself, indicating how badly he has looked in front of people.
The Teamster members are very much for Trump, but because
how Vance did, and then
but the union won't endorse them just because they won't endorse a Republican.
And I apologize to your listeners for this voice, but this is what happens.
But the members
do a focus group.
are behind him.
Until an hour after the debate.
Yeah, Tampa. That's the only loss Detroit has is against Tampa. They shouldn't have lost, but because Goff played horrible, the quarterback did.
They would have reversed the tickets.
Tampa's 3-1. Atlanta's 2-2.
And the other two on the bottom. Number 2 is it gave them faith in democracy. The idea that people could sit down, disagree, and do so civilly. But in terms of Vance, they were shocked that the Vance that they've seen up to this point was not the J.D. Vance of last night. Measured, thoughtful, emotional, willing to agree with his opponent, not divisive. The language that they used to describe him tells me that he's been misused on the campaign so far, that he would be far better communicating Donald Trump's agenda and vision and purpose than the attack dog kind of strategy that they've been using up to now.
Oh, most union presidents are douchebags. Look at the one for the longshoremen's union. Drives around a fucking Bentley. Makes $400K a year, $6 million house. But they want a 75% raise over the next 4 or 5 years.
By overwhelming majority consensus, 12-2. Frank Luntz focus.
And I guarantee that they won't use any innovation at all.
There you have it. Regardless of what Rachel Maddow says, this seems to be the reality. It seems to be the overwhelming majority consensus. J.D. Vance won. And honestly, I'm really not surprised. I'm not sitting here overly excited.
He literally sounded like a gangster. In that one interview I seen with him, it was like, yeah, they'll come crawling to us after we have them shut down for a week or so, and when it's worse than COVID in the stores.
Frankly, just weird. I'm really loving this whole weird thing. Weird. How ironic is it that after months of pointing the finger at J.D. Vance and calling him weird, this happens? Who's really the weird one? I'd say it's Tim Walz. You know those facial expressions?
Weird, buddy. You're weird.
Pretty freaking weird. Saying that you're friends with school shooters? Pretty freaking weird.
I've become friends with school.
Then when he had a chance to correct himself, he didn't change what he said. He gave a reason for it. It's like, dude. I mean, I honestly believe he met the victims of school shooters, but given the chance to correct it, he still didn't correct it. It's like, dude, you're a fucking idiot.
Like Chris Farley's characters from SNL. Everyone on X keeps posting this video with the caption, Tim Walz entering the debate stage. And of course it's funny because it's true. Tim Walz was kind of a disaster.
Yeah, he is creepy as hell.
Train wreck. He didn't totally collapse while I'm on air.
Look, you should look at on my main channel. Look at the thumbnail for the stream I did earlier. That worked.
He just wasn't convincing. He didn't do a great job painting a new vision for the nation or defending Kamala Harris. He just kind of sucked, to be honest. And that seems to be the conclusion, not just by voters and focus groups, but even by the left-wing mainstream media at large.
There is no doubt in my mind, however Governor Walz did in terms of sincerity, that Vance won this debate.
Does Governor Walz have a problem with the truth? No.
They were talking, at one point, Vance wanted to correct something about how Haitians got into this country. And he was right, and the moderators wouldn't let him correct it. It's very interesting.
But at the beginning, the two issues driving the campaign right now are Harris has a big deficit on the economy, Harris has a big deficit on immigration, and Republicans were happy tonight, and Democrats a little bit nervous that on those two issues, Vance carried it.
J.D. Vance is much more experienced at this, at public speaking, at defending himself, at pivoting.
It's the audacity. I agree with you that we're in year 9 and no one knows how to cover the audacity. The audacity is it someone should have said, stop it, stop. Are you effing kidding me? And they should have dropped that F-bomb, right? I mean, they should have just this is a debate. This may be the only chance people have to see the difference.
J.D. Vance won, and they know it. And I think it was a huge step backwards for the Kamala Harris campaign. And now we're in full meltdown, full copium mode. That's exactly what is going on. And you know how I know that? I know that because now all of a sudden, go on X, pay attention to what's going on in the media, or more of the liberal hive mind as a whole. They're all just pointing to January 6th. This is proof that we're winning.
He will be remembered for that final exchange about, did Trump lose the election? And he doesn't answer. His technique is to not answer. It makes him, by the way, the very first vice presidential candidate in history who doesn't know who won the election.
Well, I'm going to be voting for Kamala Harris. You know, one of the stark sort of aspects of that debate that really stuck with me was when they were talking about January 6th and how Mike Pence certified the election, and they were wondering if J.D. Vance would certify the election should Trump lose. And, you know, J.D. Vance didn't really give us a definitive answer, and I'm disappointed in that fact. And I don't think that I can trust someone, you know, with my vote if they're not going to respect it.
I'm seeing those 2 clips pop up on my timeline from leftist accounts over and over again. They have nothing else. They have one clip of one guy during a focus group talking about denying the 2020 election results, and that Lawrence O'Donnell clip where essentially they're saying the exact same thing. Oh, J.D. Vance refused to answer a trap question relating to January 6th. Oh no. If the Democrats are going back to J6, it's over. They have nothing else. I mean, talk about beating a dead horse. And what's the idea here? That it should be illegal to question election results? What do I have to do? Play a 25-minute montage of Democrats denying election results? Do I really have to do that again? I don't think so. It's called freedom of speech and thought. These people have nothing, and it's obvious that they've lost. Oh, actually, it's not just the January 6th thing. It's that and the whole fact-checking.
Yeah, I agree. Well, they liked him in 2020. This shit was stolen.
We weren't going to fact-check. They're posting this meme over and over again.
It was stolen.
Context. But again, what's the implication here? I don't get it. CBS News said they wouldn't fact-check. Then
That's when I first met MCC and frickin' media, when they were putting up the fucking Bristol boards to where nobody could even watch the counting through windows. They hid it, and then they wheeled in suitcases full of votes in the middle of the night.
Temporary protected status. Senator, we have so much.
But they did that in multiple states, in multiple ways. They're just, and not all of it's been fixed. So it's for Trump to win, it's going to have to be overwhelming because there's still a lot of holes in the system. I mean, they're finding hundreds of thousands of illegal people being registered just now. What, less than a month or almost a month before the election? Yeah, the water leak. That was Georgia.
Thank you, Senator, for describing the legal process. We have so much to get to, Senator. We have so much.
Since 1990.
Thank you, gentlemen. We want to have.
Map has not been on the books.
Gentlemen, the audience can't hear you because your mics are cut.
I mean, honestly, that might have been the moment where he won the debate. Even going to Frank Luntz's focus group, apparently the one thing they were the most bothered with wasn't J.D. Vance or Tim Walz, it was the moderators. I mean, are they really trying to spin his interaction with those fake news moderators as negative for the Trump campaign? That's insane. Nicole Wallace accused J.D. Vance of mansplaining.
Like muting power. And I actually think if you're a woman, that might be the worst moment J.D. Vance had, because he was going to mansplain right over that mute button. He was, and again, I don't pretend to know how everyone will react to this. I think that a lot of women.
I think I'm going to go to Costco from here just to see how nuts it is. I guess there's already panic buying happening. I mean, I always keep a stock, but I think I'm going to go there just to see it. Keep the stream going. What's up?
It's just so ridiculous.
I'm going to do an oil change and a tire rotation. How much is a tire rotation? Okay, yeah, for sure. Go ahead.
Very simple.
We'll get you in over here on Bay 2. That is the only way that does work.
All right, thanks.
Viewer snap poll is even close, well then you know it wasn't even close. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got.
Why, Doc? Why what?
Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.
Oh, the longshoreman strike. That really should have no effects for weeks. Firelight just uploaded a video. Well, it's a minute and 28 seconds.
Right now, go back. Look at that face. I would fucking fuck you up, you see? Oh my God, you're chubby and everything. Oh my God.
Aaron Queen.
Oh my God. I would do you. I would totally do anything. Fuck you. What? Look at him. I love it. I want to squish him. He gives me ASMR. Like, oh, great. I want to squeeze your shoulders. I want to squeeze your face. Lips. Oh my God. The color is perfect. The color is perfect. I'm going, no. Oh my God. Oh, look at him. I love it. If anybody wants to know what my type is this motherfucker right here. I would tear your ass up. From one end to the other. Anything. You gotta know. You know, only my best friends know. But they don't.
Jesus. Yeah, here's the deal. Did a video on it too, on the dude that was rescuing people. Oh, here we go. Moving forward. Whatever, dude, you're silly. Short shoreman.
If prescribed, a 100% online process and a range of treatment options, including
dick pills.
generic alternatives to the name brands, at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at HIMS, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/patriot and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free. With zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/patriot. That's hims.com/patriot for your free online visit. HIMS.com/PATRIOT.
Yeah, they probably take a minute.
Are you worried about the state of the economy? Concerned about market crashes and rising inflation wiping out your savings? At Noble Gold Investments, we understand your fears and have a solution. Call us today at
Hims, yeah, Patriot. Always fucking dick pills on the conservative channels, man. I fought in the border wars, see? I ain't seen Bow on all day today, has he? I know he was on later last night. I didn't see this one from freaking yet. I started watching it, and then someone came in my office earlier. If you don't have a tumbler, get your tumbler from Callahan. Trucking with Callahan. See? Yeah. You got Callahan's? I use it every day, man. Every single day. Yeah, he ordered too many of those, and he's got to clean out the stock on them. He took a hit on those. I think I was one of the first ones to buy one, though. So get one of his, man. Help the brother out. He's trying to fix his house up. I should start selling them too. I'm the only breadwinner right now. Fuck. At least it's on the outside. Still sucks because that shit will decay the wood pretty bad. Let's see this U of M one. I haven't seen this one yet. Where'd it go? Where the fuck did that video go? Freaking MCC have a real special one coming up. I think they're waiting on a disposition on something first, but they got a hell of a video coming up. I won't say any more than that. U of M. I'm sure there's a bunch of programs you can use.
Who are you? Hi, Dan.
Still freaking media, right?
What's that? No.
We just asked you don't film the ambulance for privacy. Other than that, if you want to film, whatever.
Oh, okay.
Good.
Cool.
All right, sir. You received some complaints about you being out here.
That is Dan.
It is, yeah.
Oh, nice.
As you know, we do have signs posted. This is private property.
No, it's not, Dan. This is public sidewalk, Dan. City of Michigan, in their minutes, when they're meeting, when they gave the right-of-way back to Jerome, to Sparrow, they said this sidewalk has to maintain a public right-of-way. I've got the minutes. I've read them. So, I mean, if you want to arrest me for trespassing, we can go down that road. I'll beat it in court, and then I'll sue the hospital, and I'll sue everybody. So, no, not. I'm on public sidewalk. If I was over there, I'd be trespassing, but here I'm not. No, this is public property. Nope. Nope. I'm not trespassing. I'm on public property. This is what up, y'all? It's Spink Pants. You got a-hole everybody loves and hate. Right here, you know, in this place here. Really said we couldn't be. I don't know we can.
This bay is so much slower than the other one. The other one has fucking moved 2 people have gone when 1 is gone here.
Out for a walk. Figure I'd stop here and take a break for a minute. Tired. Just walked about a mile. Yeah, take a break for a second.
Why does it say U of M when he's dealing with Lansing police?
Let the heart rate slow down. I got her up there. Getting my exercise today.
U of M Health owns Sparrow Hospital now? Or is this just an old video? He misnamed it.
Pretty sure we educated all these fools here, but I just want to make sure. Since I'm out and about, going for a walk.
Well, at a certain age, that's what they do, man. I've already had one myself. Not the worst experience in the world. The night before is the worst experience when you fucking clean it out. So then they shove that camera up your wazoo. That is the worst part of it.
I'm doing all of them. Stopping, standing, and recording. I haven't set yet. It'll be too hard to get up off the sidewalk.
Oh, you can't port over the coverage? That sucks. Actually, I had such a good primary care provider at the VA clinic I'm at in Toledo. He just moved to Findlay, an hour away, and I decided I'm going to move down with him. I'm going to go because they're just opening up a new clinic down there. So I'm gonna follow my clinician down there for my next appointment. They need a milkshake, man. Well, it wasn't when I did it. It's called Go Lightly. And you don't go lightly. You go for hours. Yeah, he was an Army medic too before he became a PA. He's not a doctor, he's a PA, but still. Most PAs I know are smarter about basic things than doctors. I mean, I'd see a board certified specialist for anything that went wrong. Yeah, the chocolate Niagara, fuck. I think I was in the bathroom for like 3.5 hours and then back in the bathroom for half hour, like all night long. And they still said I didn't get, they did it anyway, but they said, well, you could have been cleaned out better. I'm like, fuck you guys. That was the VA too, Ann Arbor. I've seen this already. Wait till he gets, oh, here we go. Just about to have this encounter. Hey, Jody.
Who are you?
My name's Dan. I'm hospital.
Hi, Dan.
Yeah. It's still freaking media, right?
What's that?
Still freaking media?
No.
No, you're moving on to your things. Okay. We just ask that you don't film the ambulance for privacy. Other than that, if you want to film, you film whatever you want.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Cool. When they gonna take them signs down? them unlawful signs. The no standing, no stopping, no sitting, no recording.
Well, perhaps stuff we'll have to discuss that with the public.
You're aware this is public here, right? This sidewalk here? Oh, I'm just saying, this public sidewalk, I read the minutes of the Lansing meeting when Sparrow asked for the right-of-way back for this road and made it private. The city said they have to keep this sidewalk public. Oh, I know. Apparently you are aware, or you'd be trying to arrest me for trespassing. Oh, okay. I just wanted to be clear that this is all public down this sidewalk. This is all Jerome Street.
Oh, I love him.
All the way down there, all the way down to there.
He's the goat.
That's what the city of Lansing said, that if Sparrow wants this private, they have to keep this public.
Yeah, no stopping, no sitting or recording is what these signs say. Standing, stopping, sitting, or recording. And he's doing all but sitting.
Have a go, man. Appreciate you, Dan.
Yeah, he's smooth as fuck.
The officer wants to talk to you, Dan.
Crawl away, say. Well, looks like they're already showing this guy the dipstick. Or girl, I can't tell.
Are you Dan too? You got a D for your first initial. Are you Dan and Dan? Derek and Dan. Awesome, guys. Heck yeah. Cool. But that was Dan and his other brother Dan for a minute.
All right, here we go.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks, Derek. I can't remember. That's Dan or that's
Oil
Derek.
change, annual tire rotation.
I can't remember.
I did come out to scan you. Sorry.
It's all right. It's all right.
That's Spanky Pants. You got it.
Started. Would it be
I
normal?
love it.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What was your mileage today, sir?
115,607.
And the full synthetic oil change as well, sir?
Yep, I got a coupon too. We do that now or at the end?
I can scan that now for you.
All right. Oh shit. I closed it. Okay. There it is. Oh,
This lady's coming out that door. Look at there.
disappeared fast. There you go.
Wow. That's awesome.
And wipers, everything doing good for you?
Yeah, I just did the air filter last time
The
too.
air filter
so-
as well? Gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha. And I'm gonna mark that air filter good for you.
All right.
Go ahead and pop that hood for
Oh
us,
yeah,
sir.
you want me to turn it off?
Yes, sir. Go ahead and shut it down this way. We'll get you out about 10, 15 minutes for the T-row.
All right. Yeah, that's Matt. I had to come back on him last week.
These ladies are today's true heroes.
Here, let's turn it around.
See, they know they're heroes.
Yeah, man. Adjust those inactives, dude.
I experienced heroes with the pictures taken.
Are you playing them this week, Jody? I didn't even look.
I mean, you see them in the newspaper and on the news all the time. They're so proud to be heroes. Why wouldn't they want to be heroes and have their picture taken? I don't get it.
Let's see. Match up.
Want that door shut quickly.
We have some key cages. Nuts, the Hertz donut.
Here's another.
Oh yeah, you're playing them.
Here, in healthcare, doing the job nobody else wants to do.
Oh yeah, your quarterback's on a bye, man.
That's awesome.
Oh, and you got Cooper Kupp starting. He's still hurt. You could put him down into one of the reserve spots and pick somebody up for free. Who's your other quarterback?
Heroes everywhere today.
Yeah, Matt's in the league.
There's another hero right there. Look. Heroes everywhere. I feel so safe, surrounded by
Well, you
heroes.
get some time because everybody you actually have playing is on Sunday. You don't have anybody tonight either, do you, Jody? They don't pull the plugs anymore. They drain it from the top, the oil.
He's got it.
That way they don't fuck up. Look at this. Yeah, you put a siphon to it.
He's gonna drive next. Yes, he is. I think he's gonna let the dog drive. I would let the dog drive.
You got two questionables there, Jody.
But if I let the dog drive, I think we'd end up here in the hospital.
We play through NFL.
It wouldn't be safe.
NFL fantasy.
Only if he's wearing a seatbelt. The dog has to wear a seatbelt.
Really? I've never seen a car without a dipstick. I've never seen a car without a dipstick.
Yeah, that one goes in and out. Maybe that one goes in and out too. I don't know.
Yeah, it's this up here.
It's possible. Maybe that one just goes to the Vader.
I'll show you.
Darth Vader. I've been in
The league name is inDOCtriNation, and of course my team's name is inDOCtriNation. Electronic measurements, oh, okay.
Maybe it's a crematorium.
So that sensor goes out.
Burn the dead bodies. Or the unalived bodies.
The doc is 4-0.
That's where they toast the unalived bodies, I think. It could be the crematorium right there. Look at all the heroes that feel so safe. Like
Yeah, there's sealed systems, yeah.
Okay. Because there's so many heroes around.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
Is it live? No, not live.
Easy, buddy. You're a little close back there. Big old cube on top there.
Probably drooling all over the leather. He's going to crematoriums and things.
Live? You watched it live? They didn't even start on the tires yet. Yeah, the oil's dark.
Right.
Look at that shit.
What did they get this time? At least they know I had the right computer to record. He still had to come out and give me some bogus directives. You know what I mean? But it made him feel good. It made him feel like he was in charge and in control. I'll let him have that.
Need to get you a cheap dash cam, man. Don't miss anything. That would have been badass. Good content.
You don't know what I'm talking about.
There's like signage that registered.
Yeah, you talking about that sign right there? Yeah, right there on that lamppost. Yeah, it's another awful sign. This is public right here. This sidewalk's public. That sidewalk over there is not, but this one's public. You too, buddy.
This is my battery's healthy.
Bog fill and everything. Yeah. All for me.
They're under it.
Oh, no, I don't care how fast people go. I'm not a cop. I'm not going to get my ticket.
Hit and run road rage. See? You could have been a hero, man, if you had a dash cam.
The speed bumps really seem to slow people down. That was a good idea to put those in. Yeah, see, everybody has to slow down now. So they don't fly through here and run somebody over. Look at that Dan. Let's see if that's Dan, everybody. Is that Dan? Not good in the faces, but it might be Dan. No, it's not Dan. It's somebody else.
Alright. Yeah. Stepping out for the rotation. I'll be back. Turn it off. I'll be back.
go ahead and get back in, sir. And then did put the wheel lock on the dash for you.
Thank you.
So for the full synthetic and the tire rotation, it's going to be car perfect. You can go ahead whenever you're ready. A couple questions on there for you.
Slide up here. It doesn't have a chip.
Yeah, you can slide it up there. Perfect. Oh, it went through. Thank you. I'll be right back with that receipt. We'll get you out of here.
Thank you, man. What? Yeah, they use the tension bar too.
Just making sure you copy the receipt as well. You have a great day, sir.
Thanks, man. Hey, JC. I don't do this. No, I just. Hey, too. I'll tip him next time. You did a good job. Very professional. I'm gonna have to go do this fucking thing one of these days. I got all these receipts and everything. I got these fucking thing. I got too much shit in the glove compartment. I hate that shit on the window. No. Fucking gum. Fluck out. Make that pull forward here for a second. Should have left the accessory on so you guys could at least heard what I was How the fuck ain't this working? Robert Gouvea's on.
And then all redacted. Home. Oh no. What's happening? Does anybody know? Well, they do.
Loosened up and fell out, so now I gotta. Damn it.
Are they going to tell us? No, they don't want to tell us. The conclusion, and from other federal dumpster fire agencies. And then we'll see what's happening in Arizona. Pretty important swing state. And our friends over at America First Legal filed suit in this state. And they have questions about this voting problem we have. Apparently now, the number of people that are in a problematic category in the state of Arizona is about 210,000. some questions about this. In fact, I'm wondering. There's something nefarious going on, and so we'll take a look at this filing.
200 illegal people registered in Arizona.
And the election is right around the corner. Arizona, of course, a very important swing state. And we got to get to the bottom of what's happening here. So we'll poke around and see what's inside this filing from James Rogers, America First Legal, in the House. Various exhibits. Okay, so some record requests. Good. All right, so we're excited to get into all of this and more, my friends. We're very grateful that you are here and with us. I hope your week is outstanding. You're accomplishing all the things you've set your mind to. Tomorrow's a beautiful Friday, and we're excited about that too. Now, before we get into any business on the day, we, of course, sometimes need to pause and recognize that we live in the most advanced era in human history. Now, there's never been more medical breakthroughs than there are right now. So if that's the case, why are millions of Americans more unhealthy and overweight now than they've ever been? Now, according to U.S. board-certified physician and expert nutritionist, her name is Dr. Amy Lee, seen here. One of the main reasons is 3 harmful foods that are being passed off as health foods that are done and shared all over the country. Now wait till you hear this. Because these foods can cause weight gain, clog your digestive tract, deplete your energy, and wreck your skin, they're banned in other countries. Yet shockingly, they're still legal in the US, and it's time someone shines some light on what they are. And Dr. Amy Lee does just that. While explaining how the side effects from these foods are wreaking havoc on the health of a million Americans, she'll tell you more in this video. The good news, it's easy to stop and reverse the damage by just learning which foods to avoid and how to spot them so you can have easier weight loss, smooth digestion, and vibrant energy. So to find out what these 3 fake health foods are, go to 3harmfulfoods.com/RG, link in the description below. That's 3, the number 3, harmfulfoods.com/RG, or click the link in the description. After years of study, extensive study, Dr. Amy Lee put together this revealing video, totally free.
He won't say it.
You and to the public.
I want you to watch the whole video.
Find out everything you need to know.
One of them is soy.
Just click the link.
One of them is soy. It reduces testosterone.
And thanks for supporting our sponsors of the show. Now, before we continue, tomorrow at 10:15, your boy is speaking. Defend Democracy.
He's not voting. Are you joking, JC?
The link is down in the description below. 10:15, we're going to do a.
I'm not either, but I'm working the poll.
DefendDemocracy.com. So go get your ticket, my friends. Rachel,
I'm sexy as book.
Your boy is going to be there. I'm speaking. You also know Dylan Law Group is going to be there. Amazing. We got John Eastman is going to be there. Oh my gosh. John Saylor. We have Merrill Ness, Trevor Luden, Michael Goldstein. And remember, Joseph Sweeney's going to be there. So grab your tickets.
I'm going to watch a lot of motherfuckers vote. Make sure there ain't no cheating going on.
Other than just speaking at the thing. And it's going to be a great conference. So you can learn a lot. Grab your tickets. And of course, we'll see you tomorrow. And we're looking forward to that. So 10:15 my time.
I vote on issues, though.
Eastern time. And it's going to be a great conference. So check it out. Links in the
No on every tax proposal.
Now, without any further ado, let's get into it. A J6, no, this is not this. An impeachment witness has now reversed course. He's back on the Trump train, baby. This guy, Gordon Sondland, is an American businessman, was at one point a United States ambassador under the Trump administration, but then he testified at the Trump impeachment trial number 1. Was fake. Trump said, "You got to resign, buddy," and he refused. So Sondland was fired by Trump in 2020. Wow, showing up on Doug Emhoff's favorite MSNBC show called The Beat with Ari. He loves it. Never misses it. So, as you can see, there's some changing of opinion on Trump's dictatorship.
Dictator-ness.
And now he's back on the Trump train. So let's go back through what's happening in the January 6th case. From Judge Chutkan's courtroom, Donald Trump is responding to special counsel, so-called illegal prosecutor Jack Smith's 165-page so-called opening brief that was boring and repetitive, and that's feeling like it's largely being forgotten by the media. They're talking about it a little bit, but there's no big salivating in there, really, because we've already been beating that horse to death thanks to Liz Cheney for the last 3.5 years. But here is what Trump's defense team said in response. They said, all right, listen, Judge, you gave Jack Smith 165 pages. Now, guess what? We want 180 pages back. We also want a 5-week extension. So this is curious, isn't this? Watch. Of the deadline to file his response, Trump's, and additional leave for a surreply. So the kind of the final word, we'll think of that as, because we're going to see they combine some motions and there's different filings. And so Trump will ultimately, it looks like, have the final word on these issues by December 19th is what he's requesting. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because Jack Smith just dropped his big load of garbage for everyone to read. He thought it was going to be, I guess, a shocking revelation. But what we saw was a cherry-picked litany of phone calls and text messages, and you can make anybody look bad in those situations. And what we actually saw was evidence that there was clear indicia and evidence of Trump's mental state as actually not pursuing the crazy claims. Because, no, that doesn't sound logical. We don't have evidence of that, they said. We don't have evidence of that. So they didn't pursue it. So if this was about fraud, why is Trump doing that? Well, it's because it's not. So even in his own filing, there were bits in there that were logically inconsistent, maybe because it was drafted by highlighter girl Molly, but we don't know. But if that is out, right, that's a big meatball from Jack Smith. Wouldn't you think to yourself, if this is you, I got to respond to this. I got to get my take on this out, at least before the election, so that the public hears our side of the story. But no, Trump's not even asking for that. He says, how about we just, we'll file it after the election, okay, November 21st. We'll file our response. We want an extension. They don't even care. Whatever. All right. They read it. You filed it. Okay. They're not racing to get anything done. So their strategy from a legal perspective is not about the election, really. Right now, it's just about, push it back. The election will be over. So ultimately, it feels like Trump is, in a way, declaring victory. Because if Trump, again, one main priority in all of this, of course, is to be right, to win, to get the case dismissed, to show Jack Smith's corrupt and the DOJ's reckless and all the things. But the other idea is that if you postpone it long enough, strategically speaking, from a tactical perspective, Trump wins the election, takes over the DOJ, comes in there, gets rid of Jack Smith. So part of this, Trump is saying, well, we'll file our final say on this in December. Oh, great. And there'll be other issues and they'll be appealable. So, in other words, Trump is just kicking this can down the road again. Say, okay, sure, push it. And there's no urgency here to respond to the merits or the substance of Jack's filing. Why? Why is there no urgency there? Because there's nothing in the motion.
I don't know how to do it permanently.
So they says, all right, so we'll respond, right? We'll come.
It kicks back on every time I restart it.
We'll come back. But you see here, they want a 5-week extension, so there's no urgency to respond.
Combinations of buttons to do that.
Now, the special counsel returned a superseding indictment. Here's the background. On August 27th, this is Jack Smith's second attempt. Book report. This is not the book report. This is the indictment. But he had to strip from the first indictment the immune conduct, which he goofed and put in there. Now, thereafter, the parties filed a joint status report. Now, in the submission, Jack requested leave to file an opening brief, which we read. Now, that it claimed would justify its own charging instrument to explain why the immunity in the Supreme Court case doesn't apply to Trump in this new indictment. Now, Trump objected to this because it violates criminal procedure. No one's ever seen an opening brief of 165 pages, and unconstitutionally deprives him of his Sixth Amendment rights to confront his accusers, to call and cross-examine witnesses, the Confrontation Clause. Now, instead, Trump requested a standard briefing sequence, which would have been
What happened? It froze. What's going on?
If this case would have been dismissed because we answered this question. Like, do we need to do all that work? If we just answer this, then we're going to be done. Now, the court held a hearing on September 5th at the hearing, which back at this date, Jackson, like, yeah, we'll just follow the normal.
Yeah, they've been working on that area for like 2 years now.
But over President Trump's objection, they said, no, you can't submit an opening brief. This is totally outside of the ordinary. What kind of ridiculousness is this? The court granted the request anyways. And moreover, the court also granted Jack's request for an additional 3 weeks so he could finish his drafting. They set a deadline late September. Now, the court did not alter the applicable page limits at that time either. And based on those standard limits, they ordered Trump to respond by the 17th. Then Jack would respond by late October. The court also indicated that although the schedule would allow Jack to file 2 briefs instead of the 1, then it wasn't unfair, because if Trump wants to file a surreply, right, if Trump wants to have the last word, he can ask for leave to have the surreply. So it's just a matter of who goes first. It doesn't really matter, but we'll give you the last word. So finally, the court ordered that Trump submit replies and supplement his statutory motion, which we'll read, and file a motion to leave to dismiss the appointments and the appropriations clauses by these dates. So Trump's continues, he says. So then, on September 21st, less than a week before Jack's big immunity brief was due that we read yesterday, Jack moved to quadruple its applicable page limits. Can I have a bunch more space? Because I'm going to just dump everything we have. Jack notified Trump that he would seek this relief just 1 day before he sent it into the judge. Trump objected. He said, Your Honor, objection, this is unprecedented. The unprecedented and irregular nature of the office's approach on remand is ridiculous. The court overruled President Trump's objection, holding that the length and the breadth of the government's brief was appropriate because it was uniquely challenging to address immunity issues when you're prosecuting political opponents. My words. Then on September 26th, Jack filed its oversized brief, together with an extensive appendix and hundreds of exhibits all under seal, which we read the brief, but the exhibits and the reference items are still under seal. Jack further moved to seal an unredacted copy of its brief while proposing redactions for the public filing. And the court ordered that Trump respond to those things, and so they did. Now they say, Your Honor, Judge Chutkan, in the January 6th case, this court should grant Trump 180 pages to match what you gave Jack. He had 165 pages plus another 15 for the other motion. The court has decided over Trump's objections that extensive factual submissions are appropriate now. And so if you've decided that, which we disagree with, Trump must have an equal opportunity to address and submit this and to rebut Jack's misleading submissions. So Trump should have 180 pages. And in addition to that, Your Honor, Trump also wants a 5-week extension of his filing deadline. This resembles the 3-week
I'm gonna skip Costco tonight. I'll probably do it tomorrow.
To Jack Smith back in August. In total, the requested extension would give Trump 8 weeks to file his response, which approximates the 6 weeks that you gave him. Here's why we need it. The enormous size of Jack's filing is going to take substantial time to review, and it was a big document. We flew through it yesterday, but a proper review of this is going to be massive. You saw all the footnotes. I don't know. Very extensive.
Good
the
question.
Important issues at stake. You're going to verify all their claims, check that, cross-reference, make sure.
Oh shit! Tomorrow's date night too. God damn it.
Like the underlying immunity question, it raises multiple unprecedented, momentous questions about the powers of the president. So, as Chutkan indicated previously, Judge, Trump should have the same time and sufficient time to respond. You even said, Your Honor, you can have time to respond during the hearing. You can have additional time during those 3 weeks. Now here, given the extraordinary and only recently disclosed quadrupling of the submission length, we need 5 weeks.
Used oil.
No one's going to be prejudiced by this. At the same time, Trump will continue his work on other pending motions. We have a bunch of stuff that's due in the near future. And this is an enormous undertaking to review these hundreds of exhibits. So to do that by the 17th,
Oh, you saw
It's
that
not
navigator, that
practical.
white
It's
one?
it's at odds with what the Supreme Court said we need to do here. So we need to postpone this until after the election. Now, finally, Trump also does want to file the final word, the SIR reply. As noted above, both President Trump's opposition says under ordinary circumstances, Trump would have every right to file a reply in support of his motion. And so it's not just about going first. Additionally, a SIR reply would not provide Trump any unfair advantage, and the judge is going to grant him that. So the court should grant President Trump the right to file a 180-page response, including a SIR reply, and does not object to any of, it looks like, Jack doesn't object to a 180-page limit, but does oppose the deadline extension and for a SIR reply. All right, so Jack is objecting to two things there. And so let's see what Chutkan has ultimately ruled on here, because we do have that.
Tail light out.
And let me pull that up in this filing here, which I thought I had open. My apologies. Let's get it right here because it is fresh out of the oven from the docket on the J6 case. Here is what Chutkan ordered. Trump's motion to extend page limits is hereby granted in part and denied in part. Let's see. The court's order is modified as follows. Trump's combined response and renewed motion to dismiss is due by November 7th, right? So 2 days after the election, and may include up to 180 pages. The government's combined reply and opposition is due by November 21st, and then Trump may file his reply, that's the sum, and his SIR replies to other issues by December 5th, 2024. So everything is getting postponed until after the election, which is curious. So we're not going to see Trump's response on this big, fat dossier from Jack for a while, which is very interesting.
Fucking rich kids.
They're not even worried about it. So I think that says something there. They're not racing to get something on the record, so that the political consequences.
I bought my first car.
It's just kind of let sleeping dogs lie. Just let it go.
A Pinto Mustang Cobra.
It's
Mach
like
2.
not addressing it, right? Postponing it to not even address
77
it.
Mustang Pinto.
Not bad. All right, so we have another filing. Now, President Trump filed a supplement to his motion to dismiss the January 6th case in Judge Chutkan's courtroom. The District of Columbia, the president says the following. He says, all right, listen, Judge. President Trump respectfully submits this motion to supplement what's already been filed.
I missed what you were talking about.
The superseding indictment, Jack's second attempt, stretches generally applicable statutes and laws beyond their breaking point. Based on false claims that President Trump is somehow responsible for events at the Capitol. Now, Jack's office seeks to assign blame for events that Trump did not control and took action to protect against, actually. And Jack blatantly ignores the fact that federal prosecutors have taken the opposite position in the district.
I missed it.
Referencing this, referencing another case, U.S. versus Carpenter. So it's apparently of no consequence to the office and those who support Jack's efforts that former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi was caught on a previously undisclosed video accepting responsibility for the events at the Capitol. Even one of the office's star witnesses, General Mark Milley, acknowledged long before charges were brought in this case that President Trump had instructed the Department of Defense on January 3rd, we read this, to, quote, make sure that you have sufficient National Guard or soldiers to make sure it's a safe event. General Mark Milley, Mr. White Rage himself, was probably too preoccupied with his internal monologue to come out and speak publicly about the fact that he said that. And that's referencing the Inspector General's report, which we read here, and that document was highly redacted in that area. So they covered it up, is the point. However, one thing that Jack's office cannot ignore or hide from is binding precedent, punks. The Supreme Court decision in the Fisher case is yet another key application of the rule of law to reject lawfare overreach that's targeting Trump. Fisher requires the dismissal of counts 2 and 3 of this indictment, and its logic fatally undermines counts 1 and 4 as well. So this case is about to die. Section 15C12, remember this was the issue about corruptly and whether it actually, like you actually had to destroy a document used in a proceeding. Like, did you corruptly interfere with the proceeding, or did you have to like physically talk, physically? Document shredding issue, okay? That's why Congress passed that law, because people were shredding, literally. It bears no resemblance at all in the superseding indictment. Nobody was shredding documents in the Capitol, except the Secret Service and their text messages. Like, oh crap.
Mommy.
Under Fisher, the office may
we gotta sheet some mommy now.
To criminalize otherwise lawful activities that are selectively mischaracterized as obstructive by those with opposing political views. As Fisher, that case confirms, if you're going to charge that statute, the 15C12 statute, it requires proof of evidence impairment, like evidence was actually impaired, documents destroyed, wrecked, mutilated, whatever, coupled with corrupt intent. Like you wanted to manipulate that document so that it would be perverted for the proceeding. Narrow, very particular set of consequences and circumstances. Now, once stripped of President Trump's official acts subject to immunity and protected First Amendment political advocacy, because Jack deleted all that from indictment number 1, the superseding indictment lacks sufficient factual allegations to support either element as required by counts 2 and 3. So Jack got rid of all the bad stuff. I'm sorry, he took a red pen to it, just like we're doing here. That's me. That's me. That's First Amendment. That's First Amendment. And then came back. And they said, okay, well, he's still charging this. Trump expressed sincere and valid concerns about the integrity of 2020, as he is allowed to do as the chief executive. And he was part of open and public discussion about the use of the contingent slates of electors in a manner consistent with historical practice and contemplated by the then existing version of the Electoral Count Act that they modified. They said, oh, you didn't have any power to do any of those things that you claim. Oh, really? Why'd you change the law? To take away those powers. Because they were there in the first place. And Trump was open about it, right? They were having hearings about this. Rudy Giuliani was on TV like every day. We were live streaming them.
Good restaurants? Yeah, there's some decent ones.
Talking about this.
Really good.
Objections that are contemplated by the law. Everything that was happening was part of the process. As well as acknowledgement of the historical precedent for the contingent slates. There is no precedent at all for a criminal prosecution.
There's the Village Idiot, which has got the best pizza in this area.
There's no precedent for prosecuting them. Now, under these circumstances, Jack's office cannot establish the required nexus between the alleged obstruction and any evidence used in the certification proceeding. You can't show there's an overlap, or that anyone even acted with corrupt intent. And so Fisher, the Supreme Court case, forecloses the office's Jack's efforts to rely on events at the Capitol to support those charges. He can't do that anymore. And the superseding indictment also does not sufficiently allege that Trump impaired or intended to impair or did any damage to any document that was ever used in an official proceeding. So you can't meet the elements. You can't check the boxes. The limiting interpretation that the Supreme Court applied to the statute also strongly supports Trump's narrower interpretation of that section as charged in that count. So in other words, if you were overbroad here, Jack, you're probably overbroad here in this count and here in count 4. Because that interpretation is going to carry over. You can't, they expanded and perverted all of these statutes in order to charge him.
Perverted!
And so therefore, this should all be dismissed. Now here's some discussion. Trump's defense rights. In Fisher,
pizza shit.
The Supreme Court rejected the unbounded interpretation of this statute, 1512C2. Biden and Harris
she specialized in cheese pizza.
Their interpretation. They expanded it without any limits. like all of the other prosecutors we talk about, like Letitia James did to prosecute Trump, like Fannie Willis did to create her RICO, same concept. And that threatened to override Congress's careful delineation of which penalties were appropriate for which offenses. You have criminal conduct that requires action, and then you match the penalties to that action. That's why the penalty for robbery is different than shoplifting, because there's different conduct. Now, the petitioner in Fisher was charged with a violation of 1512C2, based on allegations that he was part of a crowd that trespassed into the Capitol. You hear anything about destruction of documents? No. Was involved in a physical confrontation with law enforcement and delayed the certification process. Is that it? Is that the interference? Well, the Supreme Court overruled a divided panel from the lower court, and they said, no, that charge was properly dismissed. Okay, there was no interference of the documents. The law says X, Y, and Z. You didn't hit those. So dismissal was appropriate because this provision, which has been perverted by our corrupt government, okay, they're supposed to do justice. They're not supposed to find statutes that they can use to enable them to charge anybody they want anywhere, anytime. And the Supreme Court said that.
They do
this
that
cannot
constantly.
be used as a catch-all provision that reaches far beyond the document shredding that's criminalized and similar scenarios that prompted the legislation in the first place. To prove a violation of 1512C2, the government must establish that the defendant, the person charged, impaired something for use in an official proceeding, records, documents, something, or other things used in the proceeding or attempted to do so. It's very specific. Records, documents, objects, something, not just delaying the certification. The Fisher Court rejected, which is how our laws should be, right? You want specificity so you have notice about what the charges are. We don't want to give our government bureaucrats and Tish James blanket power to do whatever they want. Jack Smith, not even a legal prosecutor.
It's coming.
The Fisher Court.
I'm gonna pull through there.
the
Actually, I saw a new Bronco there the other day. I want to look at.
Whatever they want anywhere. Because
Probably already gone. It was a Raptor.
A broad swath of prosaic conduct, exposing activists and lobbyists alike to decades in prison. Which, now that they mention it, because it depends who's in charge of that rule, you know what I'm saying? Now, those peculiar results underscore the implausibility of the government's interpretation. But before Fisher was decided, Harris and their DOJ had used 15C12 to either charge or convict 259 people who didn't touch documents. Probably. Maybe some of them did. But the DOJ continues to assess. Let me back up on that. I'm sure they didn't touch the documents necessary in the actual proceeding, right? If they went into Pelosi's office and were looking at her stock records, oh my gosh! Wow, that's a great.
Well,
that's a
there's
great.
the two-door.
She does so well. They're reading her stock reports.
That's not a
used
Raptor.
officially in the proceeding, so that still doesn't apply.
Four-door though.
So
One. I like that
259
red
people
though.
all interfere
Wife
with
likes
the
that baby
transition
blue
of
one. There's a
power
Ranger.
and ballot documents? No, but the DOJ charged them anyways
Sure.
because they're not about justice. They're about prosecuting their opponents. And now the DOJ is continuing to assess many of those cases, but has already acknowledged thus far that the decision severely undermined their position in at least 100 of them. Oops.
It's a Raptor
Now,
truck right there.
specifically,
Yeah.
So far as has been disclosed, the decision forced prosecutors to consent to the dismissal of 40 cases that had been adjudicated before the Supreme Court issued Fisher, and to abandon that for 60 more of those defendants. 100 cases gone.
Sasquatch.
Which is excellent news, because they shouldn't have been charged in the first place. You think those
Couple
people
more
are going to get
Rangers
their lives
down
and
here.
time back? No. Trump's case should be among the next to be abandoned, and if not, it should be dismissed. Now, Jack's office relied
Mavericks
in his indictment on immune conduct to oppose Trump's motion to dismiss. The superseding indictment
And
contains
baby
many of the
Bronco.
same allegations, and Fisher validates President Trump's arguments regarding the misuse of 15C2 in this case. And so, therefore, everything else needs to go. Prior to Fisher, Trump argued in the motion that the violation of C2 was defective because submitting
That's a wide
contingent
one.
slates
Is
of
that a
electors and
Raptor?
alternate certificates.
Yep,
and
that's a Raptor right
advocating
there,
that Pence take
right next to the
action
Maverick.
Was not obstructive at all.
This one right here?
Conspiracy with that non-obstructive object, which is to actually do his job, does not violate the law. And Trump's interpretation is also endorsed by Fisher. And
how much you think?
We've also got First Amendment protections that come into play.
Let me go see how much.
Now, the special counsel's office opposed the motion. They argued that the charges were consistent with the D.C. Circuit split, and the Supreme Court later overruled. The office proceeded then to use fanciful and inaccurate language to describe actions by President Trump and his advisors that are subject to presidential immunity. As Trump will establish in his forthcoming response, which we're looking forward to reading.
All right, what's the guess?
Conduct, when described accurately, when it's placed in context, it's stripped of the office's rhetoric. It is official.
It's more than that, actually. With the way that one's outfitted, add another $5,000.
Right. So Jack Smith just emotionally conjugates the language, and you can see how you can do this, right?
Fucking $98K for that son of a bitch.
From emotional to non-emotional. You could just say, for example, easy example.
More than I paid for my first house.
We're describing a situation where a person is in one location and then leaves. Like the physical act. A person leaves a location to a new location. He went home. Sounds pretty benign. He fled the scene. Sounds different. Okay? So if a cop shows up and says that somebody went home, that's just a witness went home. If a cop shows up, he fled the scene, right? It's different. But it can be the same conduct.
Hello.
Hi.
What's up?
Where are you at?
Almost home. Just coming into White House. I got an oil change and tire rotation.
Oh, alrighty.
How was the eye doctor?
It was alright, I guess.
Did you pick out some frames?
Yeah.
Cool. What's up?
Nothing. I was just figured you'd be home by now.
I don't know what if I
had
hadn't.
the dog.
Oh yeah, I mean, they're fine. They're fine. Yeah, just passing the fire station now. Matt says hello.
Hello. I know I'm beating you right now. I know. I'm sorry.
Garmy losing his shit.
No, they're outside, Lincoln is.
All right, I'll be home soon.
All right.
Love you.
Love you.
Bye.
They do that in an entire filing. It's all Trump fled the scene rather than Trump went home kind of situation. So, for example, the office relied in their motion on an alleged communication that said, within the executive branch. However, the office excised that allegation from the superseding indictment. Ho-ho. That's interesting. So the indictment is getting rid of that, but then they reintroduced it, and all others like it, because the Supreme Court held that Trump is absolutely immune from prosecution. So they took their red pen, and anything within the executive branch kind of got deleted. They also cited exaggerated allegations about Trump's interaction with Pence, which they included in the superseding indictment as well. Now, under Fisher, these allegations do not concern the type of evidence impairment that is within the scope of 15C12. It's about destroying documents. But they're talking about Pence. And the Supreme Court also held that Trump is at least presumptively immune from prosecution based on those interactions. Now, Jack's office also pointed to alleged interactions with state officials, and those allegations are also included in the superseding indictment. The allegations lack the required nexus to evidence impairment. No evidence was destroyed based on that. And Trump will also establish that these communications are also subject to immunity. In fact, the Supreme Court said that the president, quote, may speak on and discuss such matters with state officials, even with no specific responsibility, requires his communication to encourage them to act in a manner that, from the president's view, promotes the public good, right? The president can talk to state people. He's the president.
Oh, wow, that's weird.
Doesn't need a specific responsibility to do that. It's part of the job. This follows from the president's broad power to speak on matters of public concern, presidential power, immune, which includes public communications about the fairness and the integrity of federal elections. The president can talk about that. That's part of the job. take care clause of the Constitution says that. And so the Supreme Court wrote all that in there, but Jack criminalized that. Jack's office also sought to defend the 1512 charges based on their false allegations relating to the responsibility for the events of J6. And they continue to do so, including in their second indictment, where they falsely allege that Trump sought to leverage the events to retain power. These allegations do not render Trump factually or legally responsible, let alone criminally culpable for the actions of others. Leveraging the events to retain power, he's not liable for that. Absent direct calls to imminent lawless action, with the office, which Jack's office does not even come close to alleging. Bedrock First Amendment principles permit public speakers, including Trump on J6, to speak their mind without fear of criminal prosecution for the unlawful acts of others, the heckler's veto. See Brandenburg versus Ohio, Watts versus the United States. Now, in addition to this, Jack, this theory relies on an impermissible and since rejected all-encompassing interpretation in Fisher, and that's not how it is anymore because of SCOTUS. Now, in opposition to the motion, the office argued that 1512c2 applies in this case, based on a conclusory claim that preventing members of Congress from validating state certificates is evidence-focused obstruction, okay? So just causing the congressmen and women and unidentified Democrats to dissipate is enough. That is the obstruction and the impairment. But similarly, in the superseding indictment, Jack falsely alleges that Trump
I used to like him too.
Quote, obstruct or impede the proceeding. This is
amazing how few you see on the road anymore. They literally fell apart.
The petitioner was alleged to have delayed the certification process. So Jack can't rebundle that here. The Fisher court applied the restraint principle cited by
Trump. It's like
Trump,
seeing an escort or a tempo. You don't ever see those fuckers
saying
anymore.
That the power of punishment is vested in the legislative, not judicial department, and so they can pass a law to criminalize that stuff. Thus, Fisher makes clear that baseless allegations of general obstruction alone is not enough to charge somebody. It's an evidence-focused statute. It's about destruction of evidence, and there's no mens rea elements here. Actions taken by Trump as president.
Oh yeah, I remember those too.
About the fairness and the
I knew a buddy
integrity of the election
that had one when I was in the army.
Corruptly under the law, and did not result in evidence impairment at the certification proceeding at all. The focus of 1512c2 is narrowly tailored
Look
to
like fucking Ferraris.
objects that are used in the proceeding. The indictment makes no allegation at all that documents were stolen or harmed or damaged or concealed in any way.
I got my new VA card.
Remained under official control at all times.
Wasn't going to get it.
Right.
I think that's what
the
just
other
came.
J6ers didn't do it either. Available for use and in fact used during the certification proceeding. So no documents were destroyed. It's all fake charges. Physical movement also of the electoral college certificates also doesn't support the charges. So you just
dogs are losing their shit.
Criminal charges, you have different check boxes you need to hit. They're saying that the movement of the certificates caused the delay, and so the physical
all right, guys.
one location to is the obstruction.
Peace.
They also rely in part on what amounts to impermissible.
Probably see you guys tomorrow.
They call it, this is fun.
Later.
An impermissible, quote, certificate movement theory.